So slope and y-intercept when it comes to tables. So the big thing here is I hope by now we are comfortable understanding this equation. This is our slope-intercept equation. So I hope we all remember that M stands for slope and B stands for y-intercept. So hopefully we feel confident with this. We understand this. We got this. So this is our slope-intercept equation. Y'all, sorry, my eyes are bothering me. My nose is bothering me. I think it's allergy. All right. So our slope is M and our y-intercept is B. I use this slideshow in 8th grade math, so it's gonna be, I'm gonna add a little bit more to it. So hopefully ax plus by equals c. You have examples in your journal on how to change this into y equals format. This is the standard form of linear equations. And y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. This is the point slope form. So hopefully we're kind of getting a little bit more confident with these two things and understanding how to find the slope and y-intercept from them. But let's look at slope. So for a table, or for a graph, we used rise over run to find our slope. The rise was how far I went up and down from one point to the next. So that was my change in y. Excuse me. Over my run, which is my change in x, how much horizontally I go from left to right, from one point to the next. So that's my change in x. Excuse me. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so this is my slope formula. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. This is how I find slope. Hopefully that looks familiar to you guys because we used this last year. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So this is basically saying the same thing. y2 minus y1 is saying how much am I rising from one y value to the next. x2 minus x1, how much am I running from one x value to the next? So I would write this formula down since I can't hand out formula charts for you. So make sure you have it in your notes so that you can use it and stuff later. So this is how I find slope. So for example, let's say I have the points 1, 6, and 2, 11. What is the slope? Well, to find the slope, I need to label my points and use this formula. So I know these are ordered pairs. So 1 would represent an x, 6 would represent a y. So I'm going to label this x1 and y1. And these are a couple, so they go together. I can't not use these two together. So if this is x1, this has to be y1. And then 2, 11. So I'm going to put this as x2, y2. I could have put this one as x1, y1, and this one as x2, y2, but it doesn't matter as long as the couple shares the same subscript. And then once I have these labels on here, I use my slope formula. So it says y2 minus y1. Well, y2, what did we label y2? 11. So it'd be 11 minus y1, we label 6, y1, so 6. Over x2, we labeled 2, x2, minus x1 was 1. So when we do all that, we just actually subtract. Did someone say something? No? Okay. 11 minus 6 is 5. 2 minus 1 is 1. So my slope would be 5. And that is how I find slope. Does that look familiar to you guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
I hope so. If not, that's okay. At least since I'm your teacher, I know I can say, I did teach you this, right? There's no, yes, we never learned that. All right. So, draw this table in your notes. So we're going to find the slope and y-intercept of these points, on the table. So hopefully you've written it down by now. Don't try to make it super pretty. So this left column are my x values. This right column are my y values. So I'm gonna need to label my points if I'm gonna find my slope. So I'm gonna write down my slope formula again. Y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So what I like to do is the first x and y in the table, I'm just gonna label x1 and y1. I don't need to make it super complicated. And the second x and y on the table, I'm just gonna label x2 and y2. But again, it doesn't matter which ones you label as long as you keep their pairs with the same subscript. So let's go ahead and use our labels and plug them into our slope formula. So y2 minus y1, y2, we label -5. So -5 minus y1, we label -6. Over x2 minus x1, x2 we label 6, minus x1 is 4. So when we do this, -5 minus -6, and remember guys, y'all get the calculator, so don't try to do the most and if you don't feel confident with your negatives and stuff like that. -5 minus -6 is +1. Minus 4 is 2. So my slope is 1/2. Here's my slope. But we're not done, right? Because to write an equation, we also would need our y-intercept. So we need to find our y-intercept as well. So this part might be a part you might have forgotten from last year. So let's write down the equation y equals mx plus b.
Don't you add those other two numbers too?
Yeah, it's you. So we have this equation, but we don't know what b is. So we're going to solve for b. And I think if I heard Noah correct, he said, how about we use these other two numbers right here? And it doesn't really matter which numbers you use, but let's just use 8 and -4. We're going to use these numbers. This 8 is an x value. This -4 is a y value. And we're going to plug them into our equation. And we're going to plug in our slope, m. So we're going to, once we have y, m, and x plugged in, we can solve for b. So I just chose this point. Again, you could have chosen any this point or this point, but I chose 8, -4. So the y value I chose is -4, so I'm going to substitute that in for y. So -4 equals M, we just found that, was 1/2. The X value we're choosing here is 8. And then plus B. I don't know what my B value is. We're trying to solve it. Yes, Jaden, perfect. So we could use the pairs that we used to find the slope. So let's solve this, okay? -4 equals 1/2 times 8 plus B. Well, if I'm reading this out loud, I hear 1/2 times 8. So the first thing I would do is actually multiply 1/2 times 8 together. So that would give me -4 equals 1/2 times 8 is 4 plus B. So this isn't looking too complicated because now I only have one thing to do is to get rid of this 4 so I can solve for B. How would I get rid of this +4 that's just by itself?
Subtract.
Perfect. So I'm going to subtract this 4 from both sides. -4 minus 4 is -8. This canceled out, so -8 equals B. Here's my y-intercept. So for my equation y equals mx plus b, my answer is y equals, my m is 1/2 x, and my y-intercept is -8, so -8. Here's my equation in slope-intercept form. Now, what about my equation in point-slope form? We know that our slope is 1/2. But what about this stuff? Now, when we're doing this, we can choose any point, right? This is point slope formula. So we can use any point we want to fill in our point. So I'm just going to use the point we chose to plug in, 8, -4. So the y value is -4, and if you remember from the past 2 class periods, we use the opposite sign in the parentheses. So this would be y plus 4 equals 1/2 x. Well, the x I'm choosing to plug in or put in for the point slope form is +8. So opposite sign, it will be -8. So here's what my formula would look like. A possible formula. I could have put any point in. So this is my formula I'm using for the point slope formula. And then the last one, ax plus by equals c. I think I'll post a video on how to convert from slope-intercept to standard form. I always kind of just do it in my head. So I'm going to just say what it is, but I'm going to go ahead and post a video and watch it myself. But if I know the slope is +1/2, then I know that my A is the numerator of my slope. The B is the denominator of my slope. So I know it's going to be x, and I know this is going to be 2y. So that'd be it'd be 1x, 2y equals, I got to find that c value. Since my slope is positive, this is going to be a minus sign between x and 2y. And since my y-intercept is -8, this is me just doing it in my head, but I'm not teaching you how to do it yet. So I'm just going to post another video on how to do it. My c value will be 16 because 16 over -2 would give me this -8. So if you remember, slope is -a over b for standard form, and y-intercept is c over b. So that's how I got 16. The c over b would give me -8 for my y-intercept. So here's my 3 formulas. We're not going to work on putting them in all 3 forms. I just wanted to show you that you can. But we're only going to work on y equals mx plus b. All right. Are there any questions? If you have a question about this two, just wait. I'm going to have separate videos. We'll do this later on and go more in depth. But does everyone understand that y equals 1/2 x minus 8?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you feel like you're good, go ahead of me. And if you feel like you got it, write your answer in the chat. But I'm going to do this one. I'm going to do this one slowly like I did the first one, just to make sure anyone that I didn't catch the first time. So first we need to find our slope. So we're going to use our slope formula. Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. This time I'm just going to show you. It doesn't matter which points you choose. So if you choose different points than me, cool. I'm going to show you it gives us the same answer. So I'm going to use these two. X1, Y1, X2, Y2. And again, this is just me showing you. It doesn't matter which pairs you use. So Y2 minus Y1, my Y2, I chose as 11, minus Y1, 9, over X2 minus X1, X2 is 15, minus X1, 12. 11 minus 9 will give me 2. 15 minus 12 will give me 3. So here's my slope, 2 over 3. So now I'm going to use y equals mx plus b. Plug in a point and solve for b. And I'm just going to use this point. So remember, it doesn't matter which point I choose. The y value is 9. So 9 equals, my slope is 2/3. The x value is 12 plus b. So now I need to solve. 2/3 times 12 is 8. So 9 equals 8 plus b. How would I get rid of this positive 8?
You do mine.
Thank you. I would subtract 8 from both sides. So 9 minus 8 will give me 1 equals b. So here's my y-intercept. So my equations would be y equals 2/3 x plus 1. You want to tell me, did you get that answer? Anyone be able to get ahead of me, or did I go too fast? So just for the sake of just introducing it to you over and over again, slope-intercept form, y equals 2/3 x plus 1. If I put this in point slope form, I'm just going to use the first point on the table. So if the y value is positive 7, I mean y minus 7 equals the slope of 2/3. The x value will be 9, positive 9, so it'll be x minus 9. So here's my point slope formula. And if I was to write this in standard form, ax plus by equals c, it'll be 2x plus 3y equals, if my y-intercept is 1, that means the c value will be 3, because 3 over 3 would give me 1. Oh, this shouldn't be, scratch that. That should be 2x minus 3y. Since my slope is positive, there's a minus sign between a and b. So this would be negative 3. So this would be my standard form. Okay, the next one we do, you're going to do on your own. You do not have to write it in point slope form or standard form. I want you to write it in slope intercept form. So if you're on the Zoom, I want you to write it in the chat. You can just privately chat me, or if you're not on the Zoom, I'll probably just call your name and ask you what you get. Okay, so here's the table. So go ahead and copy it down. I have confidence in you that you can find the slope and the y-intercept of this table. I would use a calculator so you don't mess up adding and subtracting. All right, I'm gonna give you about 1 more minute. Type your answer in the chat. What would the linear equation be in slope intercept form? All right, let's see. Let me see. All right, got a few different answers. All right, anyone else want to put it in? Come on. All right, so the 3 people that put it in the chat all got different y-intercepts. I want to see if anyone else, come on. I know some of you got the answer by now. All right, so if you're still struggling with this, then make sure we're paying attention. Hopefully, we understand how to at least find the slope. So that part should be pretty straightforward. And guys, when you're showing me the equation, y equals mx plus b, if you have every number plugged in, so let's say it looks something like this. That's not an equation, that's just a whole bunch of numbers. Your equation should look like y equals whatever the answers are. I don't know what the answers are. So that's what your equation should look like. The y and the x should not be plugged in. All right, so from the slope, -5 minus -6 is +1. -3 minus -4 is +1. So my slope should have been +1. So if you did not get +1, then your answer to your y-intercept is gonna be off, okay? So then my slope is +1. Let's get the y-intercept. I'm gonna plug 1 in for m. So -4, I chose this point down here. -4 equals 1 times -2 is -2 plus b. To get rid of this -2, I'm gonna add 2 to both sides. That will get me -2 equals b. Pat yourself on the back if you got -2 as your y-intercept. Whoop, whoop. I think about 3 of you did. Good. So that would be y equals 1x, I'm just gonna put x, minus 2. This shows me a slope of 1, because that 1's invisible, and a y-intercept of -2.
Miss, I did it.
Good. And just to kind of remind you, if I wrote my equation like this, y equals -2 plus x, this is the same thing. I just switched them around, but this is the same exact thing, okay? So just make sure you understand that. All right. What I'm gonna do now is just talk us through how to do a word problem, but I think on a separate day, we'll go more into word problems and things like that, okay? So I'm gonna talk us through this one, and then we're done with notes. It's only 8:12. Hey. So a gym membership charges a membership fee. If you remember anything from the previous year, I hope you remember M, our slope. When we work at word problems, that's our per or each. Like I got $2 each hour, or $2 per hour. I went 60 miles per hour, right? That's our per or each in word problems. Our B is our initial amount, how much I start with, or like a deposit. I put a deposit in the bank, or how much it costs to get into something. So this is that one-time thing. Okay, so gym charges a membership fee. Automatically, membership fee. This is talking about the y-intercept, because I'm only going to pay my membership fee one time. Plus an additional fee per, this already tells me this is talking about the slope, fee per yoga class. The table shows a linear relationship between the number of yoga classes taken and the total cost, including the membership fee. Which statement is true? So let's read the statements real quick. The membership fee is $52.75. This is asking for the y-intercept. The additional fee per yoga class. This is talking about the slope. So what we need to do is find the slope and y-intercept of this table. So I want you to go ahead and do that without me. So find the slope and y-intercept of this table. Don't freak out because there's decimals now. You got a calculator. Decimals don't make it harder. Bigger numbers don't make it harder. You got a calculator you can use. So go ahead and find the slope and y-intercept of this table. There's 2 true answers on this slide. So there's 2 answers that are true. when you get your answer, I want you to give me the slope and y-intercept equation in the chat. All right, 20 more seconds. You got this, you got this. Okay. So awesome. The people in the chat, you gave me your slope, but no one has given me the y-intercept yet. So you need both of these. You need the slope and the y-intercept. So when you have it, y equals, you should have got a slope of 3.25. And then when you plugged in a point, you should have got a y-intercept of positive 30, so plus 30. So this is what your equation would look like, meaning her cost per yoga class is 3.25. So this is the amount of money per yoga class. And her membership fee is $30. So the third statement and the fourth statement would be true. Good. So sorry if I moved too fast on that one. I apologize. So what you're gonna do now, and you have a lot of time, and so that means that so what I see happening for the people who are in class is that we'll start something in class, and if we don't finish it, you forget to do it later at home. So try